Aloha, and welcome to Hawaiian Islands Professional Panel of Experts e-learning course 201.1 Budgeting Capabilities. I'm Rick Iniguez alongside with Joni Lomtorio and Ikolu Rollins, and we're here to deliver this free community education with the sole intent to empower individuals, families, and their futures. This is actually the start of our other 3 hours worth of curriculum, this very first class, and it folds into a total of 7 classes. So this is a big chunk of meat with lots of information to take away. If we were to sum this up in as little words possible, what do you think, Joni? What would we say 201 is all about?
The fewest words possible. Okay, this entire course is all about budgeting. So I want people to think about you are the CFO of your life, and all these budgeting techniques that we have in these training courses are going to pertain to you and really help you with your future planning. Again, it's going to relate to you, and it's also going to help you quite a bit in how you budget for your future.
Ikolu.
Yeah, no, something I actually wanted to add into that is something I am personally passionate about, and that's compounding interest, right? So on top of building our budgeting, figuring out, the difference between our wants and needs and really how we're taking as far as how we spend our money, being able to learn something that one of the smartest human beings has coined as one of the most complicated things to understand. And for us to get a very basic grasp on it, which is compounding interest, is going to be so beneficial for us, because then we get to learn how we can have our money work for us.
Bingo. All right. That's exactly what we're here to do, guys. We are trying to transition your mindset from novice or experienced into developing some expert types of advice, direction, anything that we have credible to bring to you that we have shaped into our content to hopefully get you on the path to that next shiny object, or that home, or that savings, or that investment portfolio. Whatever it is, you got to negotiate every obstacle in the way. We have lots of obstacles listed here. So we will start with the 201.1 budgeting capabilities. Ikolu, can you lead the way?
Again, HIPPE uses the most up-to-date information on budgeting concepts, financial education, and credit information. We are educated professionals that bring the best practices from experts in their fields for free as community charity.
HIPPE is not responsible or otherwise liable for any advice, guidance, or instruction that creates a negative outcome. Recommendations accepted by individuals are at the control and execution of those individuals, including all outcomes therein.
As we say at the start of every one of our classes, we can lead you to the water. It's your choice whether you drown in it and financially wreck yourself, whether you choke on it and make it very miserable and have a very hard time with your finances, or use these tools, use these capabilities, and nourish yourself, enrich yourself and your family and every bit of your financial future. And that's what we hope you take away from this. Not every answer is yours, but you need to figure out what works for you. Take a look inward with everything we're giving you from outward and apply it. So hopefully it helps you. Okay, why do we budget? Now, we said a couple key things. I want to hear something different. I want to hear something a little bit more grainy. I want to know why we budget. I'll give you one. I ran out of gas one time at a very young age and had to borrow money many times when I was very young and scrape money together, and it caused me to be late. Oh, I'll give you another one. I had a car starter that, because I didn't have a savings budgeted and I didn't have a credit card with the amount of money, the starter would fail on me. And next thing you know, I was late to work constantly, almost fired. Okay, that's a great example. That's why we budget.
We budget because when you have kids, you have to budget, right? Mm-hmm. Kids are not cheap. They're expensive, whether they're babies and you need to budget for formula or diapers or new, clothes for them. You have to budget. And as they get older, you know what? It gets more expensive.
Yep. Ikolu.
Yeah. I mean, for us, or for me rather, I like having that control of, really knowing what my money is doing. And I just don't want to get caught with my pants down kind of a situation where I can't feed my kid because I didn't budget properly. That's like a nightmare for me. So that's something that's always in the forefront of my mind on why I budget.
Now, we're not going anywhere negative in this conversation, but I agree completely with you, Kolu. You should have a fear within yourself. If you have children, you should have an inner fear that you cannot provide for your family. That's been my number one fear since my first child, is that I cannot take care of them if I don't budget correctly, if I don't make the right financial decisions. So why do we budget? Well, there's your book answer. All right. Budgeting is a proactive approach to control, just like Kolu used. We use a lot of these words, right? A lot of these demanding and very strong words, very stern words like control. Okay. Things in like a relationship, control is super bad, right? Like one person being a control, freak can cause some serious disruption in the day-to-day of a relationship. Well, budgets, if you don't take care of your money's going to take care of you. If you don't take care of your debt's going to take care of you. Well, let me just say your lack of money will end up taking care of you. Okay. So you have to develop these things ahead. You have to get ahead. You have to make sure that you are seeing the threats down the road, the warning signs before they approach you. So without a budget, you may run the risk of overspending. I'll give you a great example. There's been times where I agreed with my daughter, and I'll put her out on blast, to put her on her car note, okay, to make sure that I'm the co-borrower on her car note. Now, I didn't let her just get off that easy, okay? I told her the payments are coming through me, so you need to pay me. I'm the one who's going to collect your car payment, and then I'll turn around and pay it. That's to protect my credit. That's to build her credit. Okay, there's a lot of tricks like this, but you need to make sure you have that control. So I established that control to grow her and protect me. I can count more than on one hand, almost more than two hands, how many times she's been delinquent in her car payment. So at a very young age, 21 years old, could she have wrecked her credit? Yes. Are there protections in place to a degree of control to allow her to benefit and allow me to at least make sure I don't suffer my credit? Yes. So you can see there's many different things out there that you can do to grow credit, to use budgets in the right way. Obviously, she needs to work on her budget and her timeliness of paying her bills. Timeliness, on-time payments, everything, that's also part of your budget. You have to program in when something's due, and then you actually have to pay it. As long as we record it properly, we're not going to accidentally overspend. If we know there's an automatic draft, we know not to touch that money. We know to leave the money in there so it can be used for the bill and not something else. It can be more difficult to reach important financial goals if you're not concentrating on the now, right? Not looking at the now, what am I experiencing, what am I dealing with, and my forecast forward. When I pay something off, what am I doing with that money? Your budget will show you that you now have extra money. Where am I going to point it? Am I going to change my thought process and say, I don't know this money exists, and point it at another debt or another savings? We talk about that in our debt management and our money management classes in 101. So please go visit there. You got to figure out where you're going to point and deliver, okay, certain funds, or in some cases, pretend like they don't exist at all because you already know they're out of your budget. So leave it that way. Point it somewhere, fire and forget it. And when it's time to look at it again because a bill goes to zero, take it, point it, fire and forget it. The savings is very important in the budget as well for these purposes, just like it reads here, emergency funds, having something to fall back on, that rainy day that you need, that something happens with your car, your family, emergency circumstance, a hospital bill, right? Or that overall goal, the shiny object. These are things of why budgets are important. What do you think, guys?
So the shiny object for me, when I bought my first investment property, I used to live in Los Angeles and I couldn't afford buying my own house or condo there, my own property there. So I took money that I had saved, and my goal was to have a property. Didn't matter what, where. I saved my tax refunds, and that's how I was able to save my down payment for my property, my first property. But it was a goal. And it was a plan for several years to save those refunds so that I could have it for when I was ready.
Kolu.
We kind of touched bases on it earlier, right? And Rick, you mentioned going back to the previous courses. I said something back then that really clicks with me personally, and that is if you don't have a home for your money, it's going to go sleep with someone else. by budgeting, we're really pointing it in the direction that it's meant to go. Because I know that if I don't have a home for it, it really does go to someone else's bank account. That might be a company, that might be a business, that might be a cousin that needs money, whatever the case is, right? Like if I don't have a predetermined destination for my funds, it really does go to sleep to someone else. So budgeting is important so that I know where it goes.
In your bed.
Exactly.
Right? Now, some people take that literally and put money under their mattress or under their bed,
Dump them
right?
in the mattress. How's the interest rate there, guys?
Right? and it's not the bed bugs, right? They don't produce your money better. Okay. They double, but your money don't. Okay. When we do our 301 home buying strategies and discussion group, that course gives you a full insight of how to change your mindset for investing in a home. And then our 401 changes your mindset to invest and begin the process of doubling or increasing your funds. So I highly recommend you attend those ones. We do those live and in person. Those aren't on the live stream. Check out our Facebook for our events when they come up. Okay.
Components, know where your money's going. You know how much you're receiving, and then know where you're going to point that money, exactly where it's going. You need to keep accountability of every cent.
Yep. So there's Joni's comment right there. Expenses, okay? You have to know what is the regular. Her on-point definition that she just provided was for regular expenses. You have to know where it's pointed, where you're expecting to spend money. Then we have the irregular expenses, and that's everything out there from, again, hospital bill, emergency room visit, dog chokes on something, and now you have to get a surgery for it or get them to the vet.
New starter for your car.
Right? New starter for your car. Exactly. Or a whole new car, right?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta be thinking of all these things of what you're not expecting. In the military, I love to bring up these things that are military because they apply to everyday life. We can't what if every single scenario. What if the guy pulls out a rocket launcher? What if, the road is mined? What if there's, somebody waiting around the corner to ambush you? Well, what if? You can't what if yourself to death every day, but you can at least take the precautions to realize what may occur and make sure you're ready for it. And those are those irregular expenses. Well, how do we make sure we're ready? Some people use a strategy of having a credit card that's zero balance. So as soon as an emergency comes up, bingo, slide the card, they get their points because they use their perks. CR 101 course about credit. They use their perks and then they win, right? And they already have a plan to pay off that debt, okay, once it's occurred. Or they have a savings specifically designed to be touched for those purposes, those irregular expenses. What are some regular expenses we know that some people put on a card purely to get points out of it? What are some regular expenses we know?
Utilities, cell phone bill.
Right?
All your subscriptions, hopefully.
Right? Some people that can rack up. So you're making points off of a bill that you would normally be paying by a debit card, and you're using your credit wisely to tackle that regular expense. Guys, there's no right answer, and everything operates in the gray area. How sunshiny that gray area is depends on you. Or is it clouds over your head about to rain down? Gray area. That all depends on you, okay? If you operate your tools properly, you can make so many different choices and decisions and financial gains just by how you manage these different capabilities, right? And the budget allows you to just take a look at everything.
So I learned this from one of my friends. They were renting and they put their rent on a credit card with a property management company. So their credit card was attached to their miles for an airlines, and that's how they would vacation. So every month their card would get swiped, they'd get the miles, and you know what? In a year and a half, the family gets to go on a trip because of those miles. They get off the island.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool setup. I feel like a lot of places don't actually do that. So I'm stoked for your friends.
Right?
Yeah. I was surprised to hear that for them. And I was like, right on. Good for you guys. Enjoy your vacation on your...
Right.
Now, I'll throw a couple things out there. What are some things you have to be attuned to in order to do that kind of tool, right? To use that tool properly. I'll throw one, interest rate, right? If you don't know, your interest rate is calculated every 30 calendar days. So obviously, this person has to program in their budget to pay off that card after it's swiped. Are they paying their full payment down every month? If the answer is yes, win. If the answer is no, why not? And bad, right? You have to make sure you have the positive parts of any plan affecting any negative parts. We explained it previously with credit management course. Go visit it. It's on the 101 side about a positive and a negative. Does that equal a good? If you do it properly, the answer is yes. Let's concentrate on that first bullet. I had to blow past it because, again, this is at the speed of the dialogue, not necessarily following structure. So let's capture that accurate income projections, okay? If I know I have X amount of dollars coming in, I know I can spend Y amount of dollars, okay? Simple math, simple arithmetic, simple algebra, actually. If I know I have X amount of dollars, that's always, no matter what, I'm going to receive. And then sometimes I get an extra Z of money added every month. At least I know to budget around my X amount of money, okay? Sounds kind of confusing, but this is all arithmetic.
Hey, Rick, I did want to actually tap into that. Joni actually did a great job in her spreadsheet that we went over at the ending of 101. She showed how there's that extra payment month. She knows where it's at, and she already has a home for that money. If you get tuned in to the point with your income projections where you actually know, oh, I know that this month's going to have an extra paycheck, and that whole thing is unaccounted for. So that really does put you in a position to where you can take full advantage of that.
And when you see it and it's written down, and Joni's as a 6-month forecast, 6 months on one screen, can you plan 6 months down the road at that point? Technically, you are financially planned for half a year at that point. That's big. And any additional money you make, you have the accurate, and then you also have your variables, okay? That overtime pay, maybe that night differential pay for working night hours. That's icing on the cake. If you have a budget, you have an idea where to aim it and shoot it. Like in our debt management and our credit management courses, we talk about snowball and avalanche, and we even brought out cash flow examples from Ecolu. You have different strategies of how to attack your debt. With those extra money that's above your income projections, now you can point it at either debt that you want to kill or towards a savings, towards that yearly vacation, towards that holiday, what do we got? Christmas or any other holiday season type of spending, right? Gift buying, birthdays, we can go on and on. School clothes, anything. So we need to make sure that we identify what is the strength of the income that we come in that's regular, consistent, sustainable, expected. And then anything on top of that, point it in the right direction where it deserves to be pointed. Identify the most practical ways to save. We get into a very great class further down the line in this 201 called Ways to Start Saving Now and Interest for Savers. I highly recommend you go visit that video. We go in depth on how to start programming your mind on savings and then transitioning it towards investments. It has to be a deliberate approach in your mind to focus money somewhere and then know that you're about to take that giant chunk of money and put it somewhere to perform better. Like a lot of it, a whole bunch of it, knowing it's going to an investment tool of some sort, whether it's an IRA, mutual fund, stocks, any other investment plan, a home, Bitcoin, anything, you name it. You have to understand everything in order to trust it, to have faith that your money's not just going to fly away. And if you do the right research or you pay for the right research, if you use experts out there, stockbrokers, you name it, or safe tools, mutual funds, things where hired experts are part of that organization to make sure your money doesn't fly away. Now you're going to grow that and transition it from those savings to investment. Because like we explained in that previous budgeting concepts class in 101, you can have many different savings and for many different purposes. And once it reaches that goal, you then take it and apply it. Find what style of budget fits your mindset. Ooh, The very next class after this, we break open every bit of ways that businesses stay successful so that their shareholders, their employees still have a job. Everybody involved still wins. Everybody is still employed or actively earning, whoever that is. There's ways that businesses do this and remain successful. Why not do it yourself? Why not reprogram your mind to do that yourself, to be a business? Your home should be your business. Your family should be your business. Run it that way. Run your finances that way so your business can grow. Pretty simple. Benefits to budgeting. Let's talk about directing priorities. What's our priorities? Mine right now is eliminating debt. That's my priority. Everything else is pretty sustainable, income sustainable, living expenses are sustainable, housing expenses are sustainable. My focus is consumer debt. I hate debt. That's my priority of direction right now. What's your priority direction, Joni?
Some of the priorities that I think about is really understanding your why. Why are you budgeting? Why do you need to direct those priorities and have an established budget for yourself? Understand your mindset, understand what your goals are, and, really simply your priorities as well. When you have the benefits of budgeting and you really understand them, you'll be able to direct your priorities. What else will it do? It's also going to help reduce stress. So many people stress about couples, individuals, you name it. People stress about money. That's usually the number one thing people fight about is money. Mm-hmm. If you could alleviate yourself from that strife, the debt, the credit issues come with by just simply budgeting, life will be so much better for you because you're controlling your situation. So those are some benefits to budgeting as well.
Just like you have it right there, spending habits, okay? Those spending habits can be a thorn in the side of your partner. Whether it's, oh my God, there's shoes in the car again. I see shoe boxes in the back seat. She went shopping again. And I know she used credit. These are spending habits. The guys have it too. Oh my God, he bought another game. I told him to stop playing video games. He bought another game. These are real life things that happen. And we had many people throw a lot of things out there. Oh my God, he bought another part for his car. Why? I told him to stop working on that car. It's a money pit. Okay. These are spending habits. Now, you have to change those into the positive. They need to be positive spending habits. So your relationship nurtures itself, right? Where people develop trust in each other, that they understand the common goal that everybody's trying to achieve.
That's right. You know what? Also, budgeting, when you have that common goal, it's going to reveal the waste that you're spending too, because the eating out, 4 times a week, that gets expensive. And is that budget? Usually not. So it will reveal a lot of waste, and you'll understand what your wants and needs are, which we talk about in a future class, wants versus needs. It is there, and it's apparent when you see what you're spending your money on. Benefits of budgeting also allows you to create better spending habits. And it becomes a conscious behavior of yourself to actually spend on what you need to spend on versus what you shouldn't be spending on.
There's a great sentence right there, and grows to an entire new standard of living. Now, peel that apart real quick, everybody. A new standard of living. We're not just talking about changing your budget. We're not just talking about changing the way you spend the money, what I choose to delivery spend or not. We're talking a new standard of living, quality of life. You save money, you buy a home, you just increased your quality of life. This is the new standard of living. It's not just the micros of I stopped spending at McDonald's or I stopped buying that Starbucks and make my own coffee. We're talking you save money or you invest money in a 401k, IRA, mutual fund, and 20 years from now, you can retire. These are the things that it's not just the day-to-day or the month-to-month or that the seasonal stuff. Joni is going to show you plenty of budgeting examples that are seasonal. I'm going to show you some annual. We're going to show you behavior type of budgeting, but you got to think long game. You changing that new standard of living is your chance to stop working when you get old. One of the most important things my dad taught me was hard work and gray hair don't mix. Okay. And they don't. They really don't. you're going to one day want to stop and smell those roses or whatever they like to say and stop working and actually enjoy life. Well, in order to do that, it starts now at your young age or old age, wherever age you're at. You have to make that commitment to begin developing your future capability. The micro of it is it starts with budget. The macro of it is you change your entire way that you operate in your life and you aim at that future goal.
Yeah, you guys touched on a few things for me that stuck out a lot. Joni, you mentioned conscious action, right? I'm reading that. And Rick, you're mentioning basically stepping out of our comfort zones to grow into something that we want to be more like, right? Like, and how it's never too late to do that. For me, why it stands out so much is because what I hear there is we need to be intentional with the things that we're doing. That could apply to life, but, micro of it, we need to be intentional about where we're putting our money rather than reactive, So like, oh, this happened, but my money, right? Like, no, if we're intentional by setting a budget, then we know exactly where everything's going to go. And of course, life happens, stuff pops up, but we have plans for that already in place. And that is super important.
It is the financial version of a tactical operation. Anybody who served with the military, played Call of Duty, I don't care what it is. If you've done anything like that and you experience that, some things have to have several steps. If you play chess, that's a great example. You always got to think about 3 steps ahead, 3 moves ahead. That's a perfect example of how you should be handling your finances. It should not be a knee jerk, right? And he goes hitting that knee jerk reaction. Oh my goodness, I got to go to the hospital. It's going to cost me money. You should be saying, okay, I got to go to the hospital. I have savings for that. I have an emergency card for that. Okay, I will reshape my budget and make sure I can tackle or save back up. And that's part of the budget. You're going to hear us break tons of information out about how you nurture your budget, how you constantly shape your budget. It's a living document. It will always need to be adjusted, and it will always need to be aimed in a specific direction depending on what's occurring in your life.
What is in now is minimalist thinking and minimalist living. That will apply to a lot of people and really help them with budgeting. It's just the minimalist type of thinking to really go with your goals and think of now.
Yeah, and I actually want to build off of that. First, I'll ask you a question, Joni. Does that mean that we have to be frugal for the rest of our lives?
No, you be frugal where you need to be frugal. And if you have that goal that you want to achieve, sometimes you have to be frugal now to be fruitful later, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And really, that's what I wanted to say. So thank you.
I'll throw this out there. We always used to say it in our live class. We do have a podcast where we interviewed a very great mentor of ours. He's the one who shaped our nonprofit organization to become what it is today, and even our personal businesses. His name is Michael Maharaj, and we did a great recording and interview for him that's broken down in about 5 different parts. And he concentrates on goal setting. It is worth the time to listen to what he has to say. He's very old. We're capturing him while he still has his wits about him. He really breaks open the idea of rewarding yourself, get yourself to your target, to your goal, reward yourself, get back on track, and go at it again. So just like Ikolu said, you don't have to be frugal your entire life. You get to that goal, those stepping stones, right? Those milestones, you get to it, you achieve that goal. You celebrate, whether it's a vacation or whether it's time to buy something nice for you and your family, and then you get right back on track to the next goal. That kind of process is how people become successful. You have to do it. And yeah, it's going to suck. You're going to make decisions that are going to suck. You're going to have to not want something a lot. But if the overall big thing that you want beats those little things that you want, you win. And that's the only way you can go about it. There's really no other way to do it, guys. This is how people become successful. Thank you very much for attending this part of our course. Watch every other video from this point forward. It's going to break open everything that has to do with all those topics we showed you at the very beginning. Please do the survey. Again, this is just the intro for this, but we definitely want you to be able to tell us what else you want to hear about this subject. Also, our HIPPE podcast, if you're not watching us on YouTube right now, please go to our HIPPE podcast, look at all of our content that we have to provide, and please subscribe. Please like all you like, and let us know how we can improve everything. If you want any of our in-person classes, we also have our HIPPE education platform. Please go visit that on Facebook. And then also visit our www.hippe-education.org website for all of our contact information. We're ready and available to answer any phone call, to take any email, to answer any questions. We're very personable, very friendly. Just reach out to us and ask questions. What else, guys?
I just want to say, check out our next e-learning course. It's going to be about budgeting types. We have a lot of great information in there.
Cool.
Actually, I want to do a shout out to you guys for actually showing up and wanting to make your guys' situation better and reaching out as far as educating yourself. So celebrate that win, because that is a huge one.
Big time.
Thank
Okay.
you.
We will see you at the next course. Aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha.